Hello, welcome back, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain an American independent science fiction film, Embers. Watch out and take care. A weird virus spreads over the planet in the near future, causing retrograde and anterograde amnesia. It spreads like wildfire and quickly takes over the world. As a result of the outbreak, all developments come to a halt. Some affluent and powerful members of society protect themselves from the virus by hiding in bunkers. Only a few people live a decade after it has devastated the Earth. They exist in a deteriorating landscape, unable to recall or form new memories. They wake up every day to a fresh life and have no recollection of who they are. We are introduced to a man and a lady in the first scene, in a primitive flat. They wake up close to each other. They are both perplexed as to how they got up together. They have no recollection of their names or anything about their life. They have clearly been infected by the virus. They appear peaceful for folks who have just woken up next to a stranger. The woman believes she knows the man but cannot recall how. The man claims to be in the same boat. They talk about how long they've been in the flat and arrive to the conclusion that it's their first day. The man then realizes that they all have matching blue bracelets on their wrists. He believes it shows that they desired to be together before they lost their memory. The woman agrees and does not question the stranger because he appears to be acquainted. An abandoned child runs around the street mumbling a melody somewhere else in town. He meets a stranger who quizzes him about his parents. When the child fails to respond, the man just invites him to accompany him on his travels. They keep going, with no particular destination in mind. Because the youngster wants to play with the man's watch, he gives it to him. He tries and fails badly to convey the notion of time to the child. A while later, the child is distracted by a mirror on a garbage pile on the side of the road. The stranger goes away, chatting to himself about time and space, oblivious to the fact that the child has left him. The boy runs to him a few seconds later, but by then, the man has already forgotten him. He introduces himself once more and inquires about the watch. He remarks that it is too big for the child and puts it on himself, forgetting that he just handed it to the boy. They eventually arrive at the ruins of a house, where the father entertains the child by dancing with an umbrella. A young woman named Miranda does her early morning ritual, which she has done for as long as she can remember. Somewhere else, in a luxurious bunker, a computerized program prompts her to introduce herself for a routine checkup to verify she hasn't been infected with the virus. The computer requests her name, birthplace, and birthdate. Miranda has been imprisoned for the previous 9 years. It is revealed. She is then given a situation and questioned about it. When she successfully answers all of them, the computer says that she has passed the normal diagnostics. Her chances of being infected are less than 0.12%. Miranda is unhappy with her existence, despite the fact that she is in the safest area possible during an epidemic. The routine she has been following for the past 9 years has bored her to tears, and she believes that life outdoors would be far more enjoyable, even if it is risky. Another individual infected with the virus is a teacher who lives in a remote house among the woods. He has adjusted better to life as an amnesiac than other affected folks. He keeps a notebook, which helps him comprehend why he can't recall anything. He also leaves himself notes outlining the daily duties he should carry out. When he goes out to gather water, he has a rope strung from his house to a nearby river to help him find the way. Back in the couple's residence, the woman discovers a can of preserved fruits in a cabinet. They believe it was left there the day before, but they are unsure. She tastes the dish and gives it to the guy after ensuring that it is tasty. While eating, she tucks her hair behind her ears, and the man exclaims, "I knew she was going to tuck it." Despite the fact that he knows nothing about himself, he remembers the little things that the woman does. She approaches the mirror and examines herself, taking in her appearance. They talk about the likelihood of them being related. However, because they do not resemble one another, the likelihood of them being siblings is eliminated. The woman believes they are married, and the man smiles at the thought. They kiss each other to put it to the test. The passion with which they kiss convinces them that they are, in reality, a couple. In the next scene, we meet a gangster who, after becoming sick, has been killing and stealing people for food and supplies. He notices the tiny kid and his previous mentor. They are seated and drinking from a can. The thug assaults and murders the man in exchange for the alcohol. The child is alone, but he does not display sorrow over his mentor's death. He casually removes the man's watch from his wrist and goes away. Back in the woods, the teacher examines the notes and prepares the food according to the recipe. While reclining, he discovers a book he wrote before the pandemic on his desk. Meanwhile, the pair from the flat discusses their relationship. They brainstorm names for each other and settle on Ben and Jenny. They're falling in love for the 100th time, like they have for the past decade. Ben suggests they look around the building to see who else is there to get a better sense of where they are. They step out and notice that the building has rooms comparable to theirs. They decide to return to their room after investigating one of them, but they have forgotten where it is. They walk into a random room, but Ben proposes that they look for something better than the dusty halls of an abandoned building. As a result, they pack their belongings from the wardrobe and begin their trek outside. Miranda is exercising with her father in the bunker as usual. He is the facility's only other resident. They discuss their day while eating a prepackaged dinner. Miranda reveals that she plays the cello to keep herself busy during the day. Miranda's father is aware that she is dissatisfied with her existence in the bunker, but his first priority is Miranda. He cannot allow her to go outside since it is his obligation to keep her safe. The tiny kid from before is now wandering around town by himself. In front of her house, he meets a little girl. She welcomes him in and asks him to be her permanent companion. They eat well and play with her plush animals. Ben and Jenny arrive at an empty swimming pool in the following scenario. Ben smiles as he watches his wife play on the slide and skip around. The previous thug is also lonely. He is playing alone in a children's park when he notices a woman and chases her. She manages to flee after a struggle, and he becomes distracted by a horse and forgets what he was doing. Ben and Jenny are walking together while humming a song. They've forgotten why they're on this vacation. They walk into a chapel that looks very familiar. They go to a room and make love after spending some time there. They sit in front of the fire at night and converse about a variety of topics. They rapidly realize that the next day they will be strangers again, thus they should not fall asleep remembering how much they love one another. The following morning, the child awakens on a heap of toys. He has no idea how he got there, so he flees through the window. He encounters the teacher while wandering around the woods and follows him home. The teacher is initially displeased with the boy's presence, but with time, he warms up to him. He feeds the child well and teaches him how to chop wood, pretending to be an expert but not knowing how he learned. Ben and Jenny, on the other hand, have finally dozed off. They awaken as strangers once more. They have the same talk as the day before and get along fine. They're walking across town talking moments afterwards. They name each other Max and Katie this time. Katie injures her leg, causing it to bleed heavily. Max hastily leaves to grab some water for her, urging her to wait. He obtains a bottle of water but has no recollection of why he was seeking for it in the first place. He sips it and walks away, leaving Katie to wait for him to return. The thug is somewhere else, in a parking lot, destroying cars out of rage and for pleasure. He falls asleep inside one of them when he feels exhausted. A bunch of men wakes him up by dragging him out of the car and beating him up. They leave him alone after a few minutes. The guy sobs his way to the patio. He notices someone in the street below and begins throwing glass bottles at them, entirely forgetting what he was crying about just a few seconds before. Miranda succumbs to boredom in the bunker. Playing the cello no longer excites her. She tries to distract herself by braiding her hair, but it doesn't work either. She proposes they leave the bunker after dinner to see if the world has returned to normal. Her father claims that if that were the truth, they would have received a message long ago. He is adamant about living safely for as long as it takes, while Miranda believes they are merely waiting for their death. Katie forgets who she was waiting for when Max doesn't return for a long time. She wanders away and sleeps under a bridge. She is lonely, chilly, and longs for something she cannot identify. Meanwhile, the teacher and the student get along fine. He trains the child to ride a bicycle and has taken on the role of his guardian. To keep him from running away and losing his way home, he ties him to a roll of wool and lets him play in the woods. The child spends the entire day playing but eventually returns home. Miranda performs her first cello concert for her father in the bunker. She invites him to accompany her outside, but he declines. The next day, when the computerized voice takes Miranda's test, she replies incorrectly on purpose. She packs her possessions at night, ready to leave the bunker and live her own life. She enters the exit tunnels after leaving a message for her father. She finally reaches the outside world after getting lost for a time and smiles, taking in the beauty of nature. She wanders off into the distance a few moments later, experiencing her life for the first time. Katie is back in town, subsisting on food she finds in the rubbish. As it begins to thunder, she seeks refuge nearby, where a man wearing an identical bracelet stands by her. Max is the man in question. The film concludes with them staring at each other, almost as though remembering their past together. The end. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.